Right, boom. So EJ's supposed to testify next week. As you can see, this says that an expert says that Tory Lanez's DNA wasn't found on the gun magazine and the DNA on the gun was inconclusive, but a woman's DNA was found on the weapon. You can see that EJ King liked that post. Now, is that an end-all be-all? No. But I think that it says a lot that that shit just got posted and his ass just liked it. Now, somebody has said, well, you know how Kelsey went up there and did, so that really don't mean nothing. Yeah, that's cool. He could get up there and say all kind of shit, but he wasn't present for no shooting. So it ain't gonna be the nail in nobody fucking coffin if EJ get up there and say, no, Megan was acting like a perfect little angel. She was completely sober and didn't get into it with anybody. Even if there was a situation, what the fuck that's gonna hurt? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he could do his thing. When it comes to this, Gossip of the City had posted and said that nothing was the same after this live. Megan got upset that Tory was on Kylie Jenner in the pool. EJ liked this post as well. This shit just got posted recently too, like last week. So that's interesting. But any fucking way, when I left you the last time, we left on a cliffhanger. The question asked was a sample taken from Kelsey to test her DNA up against the weapon? The answer was no. They said, was there ever any request to get Kelsey's DNA so that their DNA could be tested up against the weapon? They said no. Somebody said you should do YouTube videos like Impressive. Babe, I've been on YouTube for years. But thank you for the suggestion. And I'll never do it like Impressive. And that's not shade to her. She does her things how she does her shit how she does it. But I do my shit how I do it. So that's who I would be doing it like my damn self. But I think that that's very, 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 hey, baby. I think that that's very important that nobody even attempted to get the DNA from Kelsey. I think that it's very important that every police officer that we have put on that stand and asked, did you do this the way that you're supposed to? But what about this? What about that? I think it's very interesting that, you know, corners were cut. You know, I don't know if you want to call it sabotage or, you know, I don't know what the fuck you want to do. But at this stage of development, it ain't no goddamn coincidence that, I mean, y'all didn't seem like y'all wanted to pursue anything as it pertains to Kelsey. I mean, what's up? That's what I'm trying to see. So that shit ain't making no sense to me if you trying to investigate a case. Anyway, moving along. So this is where we catch up, all right? They said we want to see you, baby, not right now. So we come back in at 3:40, and the defense called up what's this man damn name? Something Scott Taylor. Bitch, what is his name? I'll go get his name for sure, but his name is Mr. Taylor, right? So he was a forensic scientist, and so he said that he was asked to look over the evidence from the case. So they said, based on the DNA analysis, what can you tell us about the analysis that they did? So let me tell you what happened. The defense went and got their own specialist, right? And so they put him on the stand. I wish that y'all could see this shit. I'm not playing. Is there anybody listening? You're very telling. This giving botched investigation. Have y'all ever watched Ancient Aliens? Where are my people that fuck with Ancient Aliens? If you ain't never seen Ancient Aliens, you can go to Google and you can type up probably Ancient Aliens hair. It's a nigga on Ancient Aliens. His hair just stick up. That nigga just put the shit straight up in the air. This fucking man, that he like a ancient astronaut theorist or whatever the fuck, a physicist and shit, whatever the fuck he's supposed to be. And so this man that got on the stand that was a specialist, baby, he is one of the people that has a large hand in the way that, you know, DNA is processed for cases, you know what I'm saying, like in America. So he did some big shit. Like that nigga hold weight in his field. You can tell by the way that he describes certain things that he loves his work, you know, but we don't love it. You know, I mean, it's cool that you know, you so well versed in shit, but the way that he was describing everything, bitch, we didn't know what the hell that man was talking about. And I think that they just wanted him to lay the foundation and show how deep he was in that shit. You know what I'm saying? To let everybody know, like, nah, nigga, this ain't no place. I'm an expert. I ain't to be played with. But what I will say is, Child, thank you, Mark Scott Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. So, yeah, I'm gonna save it. So, everybody to me was sitting up. You ever been in a damn class and the teacher was teaching and you was like, what the fuck are they talking about? That's how I felt. And I know when I looked around, bitch, everybody was looking like, nigga, what? But he wasn't, he looked like a sweet man, and you could tell he loved DNA, bitch. He loved all of that shit. So he was just in it. He was just talking. He was just, and child, bitch, I started thinking about dick. But I was still taking notes, though. So anyway, the question asked was, what was you supposed to be doing? You the guy, hot. What's up with you? And he was like, me and my people in my company were asked to look over the evidence from the case. They said, based on the DNA analysis, what can you tell us about the DNA analysis? They said, I can tell you that they did DNA on the gun and the magazine. They said, can you explain to us what the LAPD concluded from the handgun? They said that DNA from 4, people was a contributing factor to this weapon, and that 1 was a male. So he said, so at least 1 was a male, and so at least 1 male was there or present. The DNA was present on that weapon. He said yes. And then he said, but there also was female DNA on the gun. So we have a second expert that says that there was a female's DNA on the gun. If you want to get into DNA and X and Y and Y and Y and A, B, C, E, D, F, G, bitch, all of that shit, then go ahead. But they did what they needed to do to confirm that it was a woman's DNA on that weapon. A female, rather. They said when they tested it against Tory, he said, we just couldn't say that he was there. Can't say that. They said, what's the significance of that? And what was the significance of, doing these tests? And they said, would it have been significant to test other people? He said, yeah, it would have been significant to test other witnesses so that they could see, basically, what was up with the goddamn case. This is an investigation, right? So, yeah, it would have been significant to test other people. They said, what about the magazine? He said when they tested the magazine, at least 4 people's DNA was on it. But Tory's DNA absolutely was not on that shit at all, okay? So, bitch, it's very unlikely that Tory ever loaded up this gun, put the magazine in there, and all of that shit. All right, so then he said that there were at least 2 males that contributed DNA to that weapon, but none of them was Tory. He said, but it could have been 2 other women on it, okay? They said, what's the significance of Tory's DNA on the magazine? He said, Tory was excluded. What was the significance of those results? That he was not on it. That I cannot say that he had. I can for 100% fact say ain't no DNA of his on that magazine. And I need y'all to put something into perspective. Y'all gotta get into how fast shit was happening. Ain't nobody had time. The gun was still in the slide lock position. Ain't nobody had time to take the magazine out, wipe the magazine down, all that kind of shit like that. And even if they did, if a nigga just fired 5 shots, you know what I'm saying, which was ass, if somebody fired 5 shots, wouldn't you expect their DNA to be on it? Yes. Okay. All of that shit ain't went down, and that boy done touched that gun and did all that with that gun, but his shit is not on there. I see y'all on the internet talking about, oh, they wiped it down. Y'all hoes is pathetic, but it's all right, though. Anyway, so, what was it? So, they said, was there any evidence that Tory touched the gun? The gun itself, not the magazine. He said that was inconclusive. But there was no evidence that he touched it. They said, would you have expected the owner of that gun to have DNA on it? And he said, yeah. And he said, if you felt like Tory was the owner of that gun, do you think that he would have DNA on it? He said, yes. If you got somebody that's continuously handling a gun, loading up a gun, carrying this gun is in a possession for an extended period of time, then yes, we would expect that his DNA would be on that weapon. They said, so it's most likely not his gun. They said, I can't say that it's not his gun, but I can say that it's very unlikely that it's his gun. Recall that the DNA on the outside of the weapon was inconclusive. So Tory cannot be included or excluded from that. It is inconclusive. Magazine, he's 100% excluded. But I think that it's quite fucking funny that there were 4 people in the fucking car and 4 goddamn contributors. But I want to be very clear that that could mean 8 different people. No one said that the 4 DNA matches, or the DNA that came off the gun, the 4 contributors rather, nobody said that those 4 are the same people or are DNA matches for the 4 contributors for the magazine or the gun. So you understand what I'm saying? It's late. I don't know if I mixed that up. So you had 4 contributors for the magazine, 4 contributors for the gun. Nobody said that those were the same 4. It could have been 8 different people. There you go, straight like that. So they said if he shot 5 times, shot that gun 5 times, should his DNA be on it? He said, yeah. They said, did they test anybody else? He said, no. And they should have tested everybody. Okay? That's what they supposed to do, huh? They said, was it any samples from Kelsey? He said, no. They said, would gunshot residue be on your hands if you fired the gun? He said, yeah. They said, can they have DNA on their hands if they haven't fired the weapon? He said, yeah. The puff that even emits, from the gun when it's fired. He said the puff of smoke can get on somebody. He said, okay, if somebody fires a gun and I hold their hand because I'm trying to stop them, will gunshot residue be on me? He said, yeah. They said, would you expect that DNA and the swab for the DNA and that the gunshot residue test, would you expect that would be taken at the same time? He said, yeah. So then, let's go ahead and get into the cross-examination. The prosecution is a joke. I just want to say that before we got started. Mr. Alexander Bott, you a handsome man. You sitting up there looking like a little Ken doll. You're supposed to be appealing to the ladies, I guess. You got, your energy is more pleasant, I would say, more welcoming, seem like, than Kathy's ass. So I see why they keep throwing your ass up there. But baby, you fumble. When I say he acted a damn fool, I'm not lying. And when I say that Armenian man got up there and gave that nigga the treatment, bitch, I'm not lying. It got real intense. Bitch, the judge had to tell the attorney, don't talk over me. Baby, it got hot in the motherfucking kitchen. So what happened? It was time for the prosecution to go ahead and have a conversation with this man, the expert that the defense had hired. Now, mind you, the prosecution has not rested. What happened was, due to scheduling, they had to go ahead and bring the man in, you know what I'm saying, sooner rather than later. Okay? Cool. So, we got cross-examination. The man say, did you prepare a report for this? The man said, no, I did a summary. He said, when you do the summary? He said, December 15th. He said, oh, you just did this like 2 days ago. He said, yeah. He said, wouldn't you say that this is a complex situation that takes a lot of, looking into and all that kind of shit? He said, yeah. And then they was asking him, like, why wasn't there the proper type of communication had between him and the prosecution so that they could be aware, of what was going on in the findings? He said, when you called me, I couldn't speak to you. He said, I didn't even know that I was going to be testifying until now. So basically the man was saying, typically I would make a report, but I didn't know if I was going to come in to testify. So I made a summary of my findings. And when you call me trying to get information, baby, my motherfucking, my loyalty is to my client. So I can't talk to you unless the person that hired me tells me that I can. So that's why they didn't talk. The prosecution was trying to make it seem like, oh, you threw this together right quick type shit, basically. And so, bitch, all of a sudden, we minding our motherfucking business trying to see who shot you. And this damn prosecution gonna say, how much they paid you to testify? Bitch, you could hear an audible gasp when the man said $250 an hour. Bitch, the courtroom said, and you just saw everybody that was taking notes get their little pen, get their little pencil, and then hurry up and start writing some shit. I said, huh? Oh, this way you going with this bullshit? I said, all right, cool. So everybody eating this shit up, right? They say, how much have you been paid in total? You know, while you've been affiliated basically with the defense and you've been working on this. He say $6,250. Okay? Call Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer. I got a woman $150,000 from an 18-wheeler accident. I got hit by an 18-wheeler and I couldn't walk for 8 years. But Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer, came through and got me a settlement check. Bitch, he said I got paid $6,250. They said, what's your yearly income from your lab work? He said, child, I don't know. They said, how much of your income comes from you, getting basically work from defense attorneys? He says, shit, about 90%. They say, that's significant, huh? That's a significant portion of your income for your company. He said, yeah, good money. They said, is your lab accredited? The damn prosecution say, is your lab accredited? The man said, no. The prosecution was so hyped up. It was so funny to me. He say, have you ever been audited? He say, I audit myself. No. He say, did you ever go to seminars to drum up business? He say, no. Child, the damn prosecution say, you testified down the hall that getting business at the seminars was a part of the strategy, didn't you? He say, he say, yeah, but I got invited. He said, I got invited to do that seminar. They said, how much money you make from this? He said, man, I don't know. He said, man, what's your gross income? He said, pre-COVID, we might have made over $1 million, but shit. He said, I'm trying to think about our last tax return. He said probably about $700,000. But he said, you got to understand. He said, I ain't even taking home a salary. He said, I ain't even taking home a salary in the last year. He said, ever since COVID came and fucked up everything, he say, when you have to pay, a lot of money go into DNA testing. He say, so it ain't no, you pay me and I get to basically just walk home with this money. Like, this money got to go into testing these samples and seeing what's up and running all of this shit. And so he was like, I ain't even taking home a salary right now. I ain't taking home a salary in a while. And so, he say the money that I brought in ain't even been enough to keep the lab going. So the man said, how much you say you getting paid an hour? He say $250. And then he say, when do the clock start? He say, do it start when you start your car up? And he say, if I'm driving now. He say, is the clock running while you're eating? The man say, I ain't go to lunch. Now all of a sudden, everybody going back and forth. They arguing out. You got the defense saying, man, what's up? You got prosecution throwing these questions out. Man, you got the man on the stand trying to defend how much money he made. He trying to remember. I got the hiccups. The judge stepped in. I said, bitch, this some ghetto ass shit. So they said, do you agree with the other expert that Tory can't be excluded? He said, yeah, Tory could have touched it. Okay. They said it was 4 contributors, right? He said, yeah, but I ain't got no idea who contributed. He said, you don't know whose gun it was, right? And then he said, that's correct. So he said, all right, I'm done. So the defense got back up there. And bitch, this was a sight to motherfucking see. The defense got up there and said, have you ever worked? And he talking like this. He's talking like this. Have you ever worked for me before? He said, no. He said, has the court paid you to be an expert for their cases? He said, yes. He said, ain't you on the court-appointed list for experts? He said, yeah. He said, in a court of law, don't the prosecutors have access to LAPD criminal lists? And don't we as defense attorneys have to seek out people like you for our own, you know what I'm saying, testing and shit? He said yes. That's why you got to be a good lawyer. That damn prosecutor tried to make it seem like it was, and I ain't mad at him because he doing his job. You do your shit, nigga. You got to try to pull something out the hat when you're losing. When for the prosecution to try to manipulate everybody into thinking that this was some type of sideways ass, underbelly ass situation done in a back alley, it wasn't. They tried to play with that man's credentials. They tried to act like it was so crazy that he would be getting paid to come sit up there and testify on anybody's behalf. This is he on the court appointed list. Do you understand? And if you were to go look up what that man has done, and if you were to go look up his contributions to science in that regard, you would understand he ain't nothing to be played with, bitch, accredited or not. And he said, baby, you do not have to be accredited. He said he not seeking no accreditation, and he don't care. He said he don't give a fuck if he go to ICDC college. That's what he said. That ain't what he said. So anyway, whew. So the man said, so the defense has to hire people like you. He said, yeah. He said, when you get on the stand in them instances, don't you get paid by the courts? He say, shit, hopefully. Everybody start laughing, child. We need some type of comedic relief in this bitch. So, the defense say, didn't I tell you I may not use you? He said, yeah. They said, didn't you come and do a summary? And you had to do that because of your schedule. He said, yeah. He said, didn't you ask for more information? He said, yeah. He said, I got a DNA report from the LAPD. He said, and didn't you want all of the info? He says, yes. He said, didn't you go over at least 100 pages of information about this? He said, yes, me and another person went over it. And it was a quick turnaround. But he said, he was basically saying that his opinion still stands because he still did his due diligence. Typically, if the circumstances were changed and his schedule wasn't a conflict, and if he would have known that he was going to come to testify, he would have written a report. He didn't have the time to do that. The prosecution felt like, well, you didn't include that a woman could have been a contributor in this summary. So why are you saying it now type shit? And was trying to basically say you get the bulk of your money from defending people. So why wouldn't you basically, he was implying like, why wouldn't you get up here and say this type shit? And you trying to drum up business. So you going to get up here and speak to some shit. But, oh yeah, we got something for that. So, the defense attorney said, was your opinion consistent with the LAPD? He said, yeah. He said, are you here lying for the defense? He said, no. They said, didn't Bot call you? That's the prosecutor, one of the prosecutor's names, the DDA. He said, yeah, and I told him I can't talk because of who, I'm working for. They said, didn't you have the same opinion as the LAPD about the DNA and the weapon in the magazine? He said, yeah. He said, would you say that DNA would be on the gun per the incident? That Tory's DNA would be on it? Per what happened, would it be likely that his DNA would be on a gun? He said, yeah. They said, was Tory's DNA on the gun? He said, no, child. And that was it on that. And they said, okay, we're going to get into Justin, the bodyguard, and his body attachment, and the doctor. Now, all of a motherfucking me sudden, they want to pull up another damn doctor. Can the prosecution please rest their tired-ass case? Please. Please. I'm so sick of watching Kathy Todd walk to that motherfucking door and come back with a human. I don't know what to do. I wish she would sit her ass down. We don't want to hear no more of this bullshit. This case ain't really about if she got shot. This case is about, bitch, who shot her ass. That's the question. That is the question of the day. So, they did say that Mr. Kelly, the witness that saw everything, baby, will be in the courtroom. And let me tell you something. If y'all could see where that man balcony was in relation to where they would have been, per where those shell casings were found, baby, it's like, I put it to you like this. If you had a garage and somebody was standing outside in front of your garage arguing in your driveway, and your balcony was right on top of your garage, that's how close that nigga was to them. I bet they ain't even fucking know it. So when that man telling you what he saw, that nigga was up close and personal with that shit. He wasn't up on no 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th floor. No, bitch, his balcony was low as fuck. Bitch, I thought, that this was some shit out of Italy. Y'all know how in Italy they got them houses and then you got the like them balconies be low in some places? Bitch, I say, damn, where we at? I didn't even know that shit was in America the way that shit was looking. That balcony was low than a motherfucker. So yeah, when we say he saw it, bitch, saw it. So that is all that had happened in terms of Friday. I didn't get to finish telling you, and I just wanted to be thorough to wrap it on up. So y'all can go back and look at the last video I did, which brings you up to this point. And then I went ahead and told you what happened. I told you it wasn't a lot left, but due to timing and my own obligations, bitch, I had to go. What were my obligations? De Leon, okay? My obligations were alcohol consumption and marijuana use, okay? So I had very important things that I had to do with my life. And so, we had to go ahead and take a break. But there you go. I think that people got arrogant. I think that people got too big for their britches. I think that people thought this was a slam dunk and they ain't have to, do their due diligence. I don't think that many people thought that this would actually go to trial. Ain't no way in hell you didn't had almost 3 years to get this shit together, and this is the bullshit that you present to us. Now sit your dumb ass down. You got an F on your test. Niggas is failing. So, hey, chat niggas. So at the end of the day, I just feel like, bitch, this was one of the biggest fumbles since they let OJ beat his hand up against the wall and slide that glove on and act like it ain't fit. Bitch, this has been one of the biggest motherfucking circuses I have ever seen in my life. Y'all really had an opportunity to get into some shit. And you ain't got in nothing. If it was pussy, they wouldn't have felt the dick. This shit is ridiculous. This shit is actually ridiculous. And, I just think the whole world needs to know about it. And that's what I think. What you think? They said that ain't what he said. That ain't what who said. What he said? What you telling me? Will Tory take the stand? And will they charge Kelsey? Well, one question at a time. I don't have any inside information on any one thing. And I want to make that very clear.